This week's episode is brought to you by Capital Financial Advisory Group for all your retirement needs.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. You'll hear from some of the nation's top financial professionals. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world, right here on the Financial Safari.
And welcome once again to Financial Safari, talking retirement strategies. We're going to get into a really widespread questioned topic today. I'm Dave Perkins, along with Coach Pete's trusted advisor. That is Gregg Berrian. Greg, you look like you're just back from the luau.
I tell you something.
I like it.
This is my jam now. It's summertime.
Right.
I'm playing Ricky Lee Jones Under the Boardwalk. Great song. You got to YouTube that, man. It's
okay.
That's a great song.
Ricky Lee Jones of Ricky Lee Jones fame?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Under the
She did her version of it.
Oh, fantastic.
But you look great. You look great. You look ready to tackle Social Security. Man, people do have those questions, don't
That's
they?
a double-edged sword here, huh?
Yes, it is. So many questions. Well, let's start with the obvious. When? When do I take it?
That is the biggest question that I get on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. When should I start? By the way, talking about Social Security, it's like kind of like reminiscent to me because this is how I cut my teeth at Capital Financial. I did these seminars in universities and different places wherever I could get people to sit down and listen. I talked about Social Security.
They had a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. But when can we do it? That's a great question. Now, first of all, for the most part, most people can start Social Security, traditional Social Security SSI. You can start it anywhere from 62 to 70.
Okay.
The thing is when should you do it?
Yeah.
That's the biggest question.
What's the maximum? Is there
70?
70.
70.
Right.
It's like we talked about on the radio earlier today.
Yeah.
It's like I talked to a man one day who didn't start until he was 72. It's like his wife told him not to.
Oh no! So 2 years he lost that?
All that money.
Oh no!
Yeah, all that money.
Got to do it then.
Yeah. So if you should do it, there's a lot of parameters involved here. We're going to talk about it first. Number one, if you're still working, do not start collecting Social Security. Unless, of course, if it's like a small part-time job, because the maximum amount of money that you can make while you're working is, what's it, like 20?
For this year, it's $22,320.
$22,320.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are going to make more than that $22,320, if you go beyond that, you're going to go into the penalty. And that penalty is for every $2 you earn, $1 goes back.
Okay.
Now, that penalty, it can become excessive if you make too much money. Okay, that could become a big problem. So, however, let's say it happened a couple of years and your penalty is $500. Mm-hmm. When you turn your full retirement age, that money will come back to you.
Okay, you get it back.
Generally, hopefully in one check. But let's say it's like in the thousands. Let's say you're penalized for $5,000. Mm-hmm. Then what they say is, okay, we're going to space that out over time. Now, there's no way of actually knowing, because I literally called the Social Security office one day, and I waited online while I did some work, and I waited.
I'm not surprised.
And finally I got somebody.
Yeah.
And I said, how do we know when you're going to give it and how much you're going to give and when? And they said, well, I can't tell you that. Well, why? This is your office.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, it all depends on who's doing it. I said, what? What if they're having a bad day? You know what I mean? She goes, no, it really boils down to the person who's handling the case as to how they're going to pay you back the money.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
So for most people, if they're single, I like to have them start off sooner than later, because let's say, now folks, if you haven't gone to the Social Security website yet, you really need to do this because it's a great piece. It's like kind of like a throwback in history. Like you're looking at your life. As you said, this is your life.
Right, all your earnings.
And you can see like in 1978, how much money did I make? Oh my gosh, in 82, I had a good year. Oh, right. 95, terrible.
I remember that radio station.
Yeah. So you can, and on the second page, bottom left-hand corner, you can literally see how much money you put in. Mm-hmm. And so let's say you put $100,000 into that plan, and let's say you chose not to take it out and you passed away and you're single. That $100,000 that you put in goes right back to the federal government.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that just gnaws at me right
it
there.
should.
There's something really wrong
So
with
it's kind
that.
of a gamble then.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And so, granted, you do lose money on that. And also, by the way they determine, how much you're going to get is all actuarially based. And so if you were to just basically graph it out, starting, one at 62, one at 67, which, now is a new full retirement age for anybody born 1960 and later, or at the age of 70. They all intersect right between the age of 78 and 80.
Okay.
That's the lifespan of the average American. So that's how they're basing that. So if you wait and you live a long life, you came out ahead. If you wait and if you pass away 6 weeks later, you didn't make a good choice.
Yeah, it is a gamble.
It is a bit of a gamble. And so the other thing I look at is, what if you're sick? What if you have cancer? Okay, then something, it might be a good idea to turn that on, unless, of course, you're married.
Well, okay, how does that change?
Well, let's say you were 62 years old, you had a great career, and your amount was a lot. It was high. And so your spouse didn't make as much as you. You would want to stretch yours out as far as you can, okay? And in the case of a married couple, I always like to see the one who has made the lesser amount of money turn theirs on early in the event of something tragic happening, and the larger one going as deep as possible.
Okay, would that make sense for the lesser earning spouse to go 62 then?
Precisely, exactly. Okay. So therefore, if you're married and if you have a bad illness, then you might want to hold off on that to get to build that up for your spouse. But if you're single and you have a bad illness, I would strongly recommend you turn it on right away.
So there are a couple of cases where it makes sense. Is 67, do most people go to full retirement age, or do most people do 62?
Well, actually, I think I once read like 2/3 of all Americans turn it on at 62.
That much?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, a lot of people don't like their jobs.
Right.
They're done. They want to get out of the cubby hole. It's like, hey, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I'll do anything. Just like let me take my Social Security. Half my relatives start at 62.
And they're gambling that they'll live long enough to make up for the fact that it is less that you get.
Yeah.
Claiming early.
They don't care.
Okay, they don't care.
They don't care.
They're ready to call it.
Give me my money.
Well, I mean, the decision is different for everyone, isn't it?
It's a very private, very personal decision. One thing also, folks, you need to know, if you were to call the Social Security Department or if you make an appointment, they're very, very, very knowledgeable. They'll tell you everything you need to know. But if you say, what should I do? They're going to say,
can't help you.
It's up to you.
They can't make recommendations.
But if you call me,
oh yeah,
I'll tell you. I'll give you an opinion.
You can do it.
Oh, I'm full of opinion. I'm full of it.
Absolutely. Well, you're full of good knowledge and experience too, and that is an excellent point. They can't give you recommendations. Gregg can give you customized recommendations in that and other areas of retirement. So we've got the number on your screen to call or text. Get in touch with Gregg, Coach Pete, and the team and schedule a comprehensive review. That is at no cost, no obligation. They'll go over all the components of proper retirement planning. We do have more on Social Security, even the possible, well, let's just say, questioning. People are worried about the solvency. We'll get into that. And when we come back on our segment of the show, another strategy du jour, plus more financial safari. It's coming up.
Memories with Grandpa.
My first job.
My fourth job.
Crazy road trips.
Our first date. Meeting our son.
Exploring our world.
Our world. Family and friends.
Our special song.
Secure your retirement by meeting with a financial advisor.
So, you've taken a good hard look at your retirement portfolio and you realize you need help. You've watched some wonderfully produced videos by a financial advisory group. And now you have decided to meet with an advisor. But there's a pretty important question that remains. How do these folks get paid? In the next few minutes, we will clear up this confusing topic for you. Writer Thomas Carlyle said, "A fair day's wage for a fair day's work." It is as just a demand as governed men ever made of governing. A financial advisor's job is to make sure that your money is secure and growing throughout your retirement years. But in terms of their money, advisors are typically compensated by commissions, fees, or a mixture of both.
Advisors are all paid differently, and it all depends on the company they work for. If you have an independent advisor, there can be multiple ways they're paid depending on what they're doing for you, and it could be depending on what they're doing for you at the time. So I always say disclosure is key. But commissions are when an advisor is paid to put you in something, whether it comes out of your pocket or the other companies. So the definition of commission is a third party paying the advisor on behalf of you.
You can tell you're with a commission-only advisor when they're constantly trying to sell you something. And really, the correct financial strategies and products should be bought, not sold. In other words, you should be searching for them, not somebody searching for you to sell them to you. Very important, because there's a lot of strategies out there that don't make sense that people have in their portfolio.
So the question you should be asking is, what should I be looking for when it comes to advisors that make a commission?
So the advisor who's 100% commission is always trying to sell you something, and a telltale sign is you look on your statement, you'll see parentheses around money, and that means that's a negative, but they don't want to put the negative sign. A true negative on your policy should be, if they want to put parentheses, that's fine. They should put a negative sign in front of it. It should be in red. Red means loss. Red means risk many times. And if you say, well, gosh, my advisor said I'm not taking much risk. If your advisor is taking commissions out of your plan, you might as well be in a lot of risk, because it's the equivalent of you being in the wrong place. Let's say you buy a stock at 100 and it turns into 90. Well, you lost 10. If an advisor's taking out commissions, you lost money too. So I always say, whose retirement are you funding? Yours or your broker's? And if you have commissions coming out of your plan, you're funding your broker's retirement.
Maybe a strategy that pays an advisor a commission is better for your retirement plan. The important thing is to be aware of how to identify when an advisor gets paid that commission. But that's not the only way an advisor gets paid.
A fee-only advisor will charge you a fee to put a plan together. Now, hopefully the plan will be good, because if they're charging a fee, it better be a good plan. But many times we see them also try to make money after they charge you the fee. So if you are with a fee-only planner, and they're bragging about being a fee-only planner, get them to put in writing they're not going to make any kind of compensation anywhere else off of you, and make them sign it. Guarantee they probably won't, because there's a lot of hidden games and gimmicks. They'll design a plan, they'll charge you for a plan many times, and then inside the plan is a lot of commission-driven products they're recommending, or products they're getting kickbacks from. So be very careful on that. Make sure if they really are bragging about being a fee-only advisor, the only fee you should pay is for the plan. And I'd argue the plan's not worth it anyway, because we put plans together similar or better, in my opinion, and we don't charge a penny for them.
So there are advisors that make commissions and fee-only advisors. But I've heard some financial folks say they are fee-based. What's the difference?
Fee-based looks at your assets. They're supposedly managing your money. They've got money managed platforms. Hopefully they're doing it themselves if they're charging you a lot of money. But that means they charge you a percentage of fees, a percent every single quarter, of depending on what you have under management with them. And it could be 1 or 2% per year divided on a quarterly basis. They're taking money out of your money.
There is a subclassification called gains-based. That's a gains-based system, or some people call it a spread, which means that the advisor, or hedge funds are big pieces of this, is where they take a cut of the profit. Now, that doesn't mean you make $100,000, they get 1% of it. It's a fee-based system, but only on gains. So if your portfolio is positive 10% for the year, it'd be just like you brought home 9%. Just like if you paid a fee-based 1% advisory fee. But when the account's down or doesn't make money, there's no charge. So it's more of a skin in the game approach, but not a lot of advisors utilize it.
Between commissions, fees, and gains, it can seem you have a lot of money coming out of your retirement plan rather than staying in. Do you really need to work with an advisor in the first place?
Not a day passes when I read articles or hear people talking about, is my financial planner really worth it? Why am I paying the person? Well, if you could do better on your own, maybe you should. If you could compare your performance to an index fund, let's say a Vanguard low-cost index fund, and you're not outperforming that and you're paying an advisor, you're in the wrong place. Many people that are watching this probably would be better in an index fund with, on one side, for the risk, with a growth protection income account on the other, making sure they have a pension plan that will give them income, but then not paying a lot of fees on the other side. Fees are financial termites. Commissions are financial termites. Risk, inflation, taxation, all financial termites. The reason why you're paying an advisor, if you are paying one or working with one, is they need to reduce or eliminate financial termites.
So there it is, the financial advisor demystified. Any financial advisor worth their salt will disclose to you exactly how they are getting paid, and now you can know whether they're doing what's right for you. Maybe you've taken a look at your retirement plan and need a second opinion, or you find yourself in the unfortunate situation where your retirement planner is funding their retirement instead of yours. Come meet with Coach Pete and the certified fiduciary planning team at Capital Financial. Take advantage of our no-cost, no-obligation financial review to understand the ins and outs of your retirement plan, including where all of your fees and commissions are going. Contact us today. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more retirement help.
I'll tell you where it really comes from. It comes from two different things. One is misconceptions, and number two is there's too many annuities out there, and there are different ones with different purposes. There is one annuity that's made a lot of people mad over the years called a variable annuity.
That's the one I've heard about.
Yeah, and you know why they call it variable? Because the money can go up and down. All right, a fixed annuity gives you a fixed set of interest for a fixed period of time. So let's like a CD at a bank when it comes to mind of that. So let's say you get a 5% interest for 5 years. That's a fixed term annuity. So you know exactly what the interest rate is going to be there term. Fixed indexed annuity lets you share in the gains of the market, but never in the losses of the market. It's a pretty good deal, isn't it? Now, you're not going to get all the gain. That's the rules going forward. But that's a great rule because that enables you to advance your money and protect your money. Advance your money and protect your money. And that's with the income that you can never outlive too attached to it. So if you basically have your own personal pension that does not have risk attached to it. Sort of like a 401k with no chance of a downside. Yeah. But of course, you're not going to get as much. Like when the market's going like crazy, you're not going to get the gigantic returns, but you're not going to get gigantic or minimal losses. You're not going to lose a thing. Makes a lot of sense to me. Go to annuityavenue.com for bunches of videos explaining all the ins and outs of every annuity out there. annuityavenue.com.
Talking about the last time we did a show together, the visionary engines, and I checked it out at PeteOnDemand.com. I mean, you've got everything from the future benefits predictor to the 401k power illustrator. It's a lot there.
Yeah, visionary engines. In other words, you can hypothetically put different numbers in to see what really could happen. You envision things happening. So it's sort of like the old financial calculators, but these are financial calculators on steroids. Yeah. You can go to visionaryengines.com or PeteOnDemand.com to get a look at that yourself. It's no cost or obligation for these calculators and visionary engines, and it really does put you in control. It's good to see, Dave. I mean, if you do certain things, what could happen, right?
Muni bonds are bonds that are purchased through municipalities, so they're normally smaller, like states, counties, such, but they generate tax-free income, whether it's state and federal, just state-free. A lot of people like it because of the tax-free source. Okay. Well, with the rates being low and then finally increasing, they're becoming more popular. Yeah. And that's a big thing about them is they can be a reliable source of income. But it depends on the goals and objectives of what it is. They're still only generating percentiles that are normally under 5%, but the tax-free benefits is huge. So a lot of people forget, you put money in a CD, you put in after-tax money in a CD. When that CD matures and you take that money out, you have to report the federal tax on that interest. So if you're getting 5%, you're really only getting closer to 3%.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And then, but on a muni bond, if you can find one paying 5% and you get that tax-free 5%, that's all in your pocket. Okay. So that's where it can be a great source. But the big thing is here is it's a good source for certain goals and objectives. Normally only after-tax money. They're not great in retirement accounts because there's no benefit of the tax efficiency in a tax-deferred or tax-free Roth. But for cash, it can be a great alternative to I-bonds, high-yield savings, but it's used for more of like an extra emergency account. But when you're getting to strategies where you have a big excess, like over a year in cash reserves, I mean, we can run a lot of plans here that can beat those rates, provide tax sheltered strategies or other guarantees or components or growth options that they can't do in bonds. So it depends on the goals and objectives. So it's very case by case.
Welcome back to Financial Safari. Gregg Berrian here, Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, along with I'm consumer advocate Dave Perkins. We're going to continue our conversation on Social Security, and it's a good one too. A lot to consider. Plus, Gregg has another one of those strategy du jour sessions for us, and we'll learn about that. But Gregg, let's stay on Social Security. You touched on when to claim the options of 62 or full retirement age or 70. And we did touch on the fact that if you claim early, it's less. How much could it grow?
If we're looking anywhere between 5 and 8%, it'll grow. You know,
okay.
Lately it's like around 7%. You know, it grows on an annual basis. It keeps going up. You know, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Also, one very important thing, also, Dave, is there's also something called a COLA, which is a cost of living adjustment, which is attached when you start your Social Security. Like 2 years ago, when inflation was out of control, around 9%, I think the COLA was like around 8.9%.
Yeah, it was a good one, no doubt.
So people thought, wow, this is great. Well, actually, it wasn't great. It was nice that you got it.
Inflation.
But that means you paid a lot more money for everything that you had.
Right.
And so, you know, there's been some years the COLA has been negligible, barely there.
So is it just based on the inflation rate?
It's completely based on the inflation rate. Over the past several years, it's averaged like around 3.54%.
Okay. All right. So
goes up every year.
And that big one did kind of mirror the rate of inflation, although it was a wash, though, wasn't it?
And here's the thing, very often, granted, you know, the government gives it and it takes it. You know what I mean? So what are they doing? They're giving you the COLA and then they're increasing your price on Medicare.
Right. Oh, right.
So,
that's true. So it's really not even a wash.
Huge changes coming in Medicare. I mean, huge changes for 2025.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, also, too, Gregg, the solvency of Social Security. People are worried about that, because I know we're going to touch on how you can factor inflation even better in the strategy du jour.
Exactly.
But should people be concerned about the solvency?
Yes and no. Well, first of all, Social Security is fully funded till 2034, at which point in time it's 80% funded. The problem is, I think folks like you, like us, our age, okay, boomers and X's, you know, late X's, we're going to be okay. It's the millennials and the Z's. They're going to have an issue because, face it, Social Security, Dave, is nothing but a Ponzi scheme, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, it kind of is, right?
Yeah, because think about it. Years ago, when it started, it was like 20 or 30 people working, putting into the account to one person taking it. Now it's 3 to 1.
Gosh.
All right, we determined it was like 3 to 1?
Actually, just a little bit under 3 to 1.
Oh my gosh.
They're predicting not too long till it's 2 to 1.
Okay, so now this generation, and this is a problem all over the world, all over, you know, Europe, China, Japan. People are not having children. Young people are not having children for whatever reason it may be. And so if you don't have that crop, that group of people coming in to lift everybody else up, there's going to be an issue with that.
There's definitely going to be some challenges, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
I love the strategy du jour, because we talked about Social Security's COLA. Let's talk about maybe a turbocharged COLA, possibly, with this strategy.
This is the thing, Dave. Let's say you worked all these years, and this is why we do move a lot of pensions into this particular strategy. And let's say you had a $275,000 pension, which you can either do just for you and your spouse, possibly. Now, here's the thing about this, but let's say your pension, you're going to get $15,000 a year on your pension in the year 2025.
Okay.
And in 2045, you're still getting $15,000.
But that dollar doesn't have the punch.
So you're getting a lot less than $15,000. You know, if you work out the inflation. So what we do here, and also let's say it's on you and your wife, and you put all that money into the pension. You say, okay, turn on my pension. And you turn on the pension, and you and your wife are on vacation, and all of a sudden you both die in a car crash, and there was $275,000 in that pension.
It's gone.
It's gone. There's no legacy whatsoever.
Oh, let's look at a better hypothetical situation.
So what we did now is we're taking this $275,000, we're putting it into this account, and they're going to take money out of it immediately. Now, traditionally, we've already talked about this. The average advisor, how much do they let you take out? They like to see you take out of your accounts.
4%.
4%. That's the 4% rule. Well, on this particular scenario, because this person is 64 years old, okay, their withdrawal rate is going to be 5.55%.
Okay.
That's significantly higher.
Yes, it is.
Significantly higher. And so this person is going to start drawing $15,263. And if the market went down for the next 30 years, they would still get that $15,000.
Still getting it.
Still getting
That's
it.
like a worst
Even
case.
if it ran out of money,
okay,
they'll keep getting it. But let's go on the assumption, though, that the market behaves the way it has, traditionally, 8 to 10% on average, okay? And so on year 5, now that $15,000 turned into $22,909.
That's with normal historic market.
That's normal historic market gains performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's quite the raise.
That's $7,000.
Yeah, that's
all right.
amazing.
And so as you can see, we're lifting up your pension, giving you more money. And then say on year 10, now you're getting $35,780.
Still going up.
Still going up. Okay. Oh, darn it. On year 15, you ran out of money.
Uh-oh.
There's no money left. So even, if your spouse or wife or husband is included in this, okay, you are going to continue getting $40,788 until the last of you passes.
Even though you ran out.
Even though you ran out. So let's say one or two of you live to age 90, you'd have taken out $920,000.
Okay. Wow.
$920,000. Out of that, $275,000. And let's say you both passed in a car accident early on, already, and like a couple weeks after it was issued, your family, your beneficiaries now get that full $275,000.
It doesn't go away.
No, it passes on.
Nice.
And any money, well, let's say you both pass away in year 10, alrighty, we're looking at $248,000 still passing on to your family.
Oh, that's a great strategy. Something
Crazy,
that
isn't it?
Introduce to people all the time, don't you?
This is, to me, in my opinion, one of the premier strategies out there for guaranteed income for the rest of your life.
Real quick, if someone has a pension and a lump sum option, do they look at something like this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Many probably
this is a terrific strategy for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt. Guaranteed money for the rest of your life.
Covered good stuff today, Greg. Social Security and a very good strategy du jour.
It's important stuff.
Yeah, it really is. The number is on your screen if you want to call or text. Now, what are you calling or texting for and to do? That's to meet with fine people like Gregg Berrian and the team at Capital Financial, where they perform a customized, complimentary, very holistic review about you and your situation and looking at not only maximizing Social Security, as Greg talked about, but all the other components of a good retirement and the best strategies for you. So call the number on your screen or text the number on your screen, and they look forward to meeting you. We also look forward to you joining us again next week. We're back with another Financial Safari.